particular case, because my boss didn't attend, I believe that's why there was no opportunity for him to address the conference.
See, but I'm sure your attention has now been drawn to one of the main things that came out of the conference. Are you clear in your mind about, because we are reading that the bar has passed a resolution. The resolution is that they would against the suspension of the CJ. How does that come to you?
Yes, the resolution has reached our attention through brief of some of our attorneys and friends who attended the conference. We are yet to receive a formal communication on the resolution from the officials of the Ghana Bar Association. What we have been told is almost the same thing as you are reporting, namely that the conference passed a resolution in which the president, and which they called on the president to rescind his decision to suspend the CJ in the ongoing removal proceedings. As far as we are concerned, it is the Bar Association's call is another call from politics. In terms of, when I say politics, I'm not using politics in a negative sense, but I'm using politics as opposed to law. As far as law is concerned, the GBA itself has called on all parties to stay away from commenting on the process and from interfering with the process, and most importantly, to allow the process to go on. And I'm sure you had access to that earlier press statement by the GBA.
Yes.
That was backed by law. And the GBA in that statement specifically cited laws that support the position that no one should interfere with the process and that everyone should give their support. I mean, everyone should observe, and that the law, the Constitution, provides avenue for redress should the process violate law. This second one, which is the resolution, we are not aware of any legal basis that the GBA or those who attended the conference. And let me explain something. This conference, like all conferences, is based on the number of people who attend. So the outcome of the conference is based on the number of people who attend. It's a mini conference, and therefore the representative capacity of this conference itself is something that we must look at. We have requesting for the minutes of the conference to know the number of persons who attended, and possibly that will give us an indication of the weight and the quality of the recommendation or the resolution. Because you agree with me that a decision made by 1% of the people, as against a decision made by 100% of the people, can have a different impact. So we will look at that and try to analyze the conference outcome. But like I was saying, the most important thing that I think GAPA should be interested in is whether the president is acting according to the provision of the Constitution. As far as we are concerned, the president has followed the procedures and the dictates of the Constitution very strictly. And as far as we are concerned, the Ghana Bar Association has not pointed out any flaws in the process. So when I say political, I mean it is not based on law. It is based on other considerations than law. And you would, of course, the Ghana Bar Association is entitled to do politics and give advice outside the scope of law. But what I'm saying is that that advice or that recommendation or that resolution should be considered in such a term and not be treated as though it was a product of some serious legal analysis, finding some faults with what the president has done. Now, in terms of the weight to put on the Ghana Bar Association resolution, the Council of State, which together with the president made these decisions, and let's not forget, the president did not just get up to find a prima facie case by himself. He did not by himself suspend the Chief Justice. As you are already aware, the president was in consultation with the Council of State in deciding whether there is, first of all, a prima facie case. That decision was made considering not just the petition, but the Chief Justice's preliminary response to it, in which we are told that it is based on that which the president, and the Council of State found the prima facie case. Besides that, the Constitution requires that the decision to suspend the Chief Justice should be done in accordance with the advice of the Council of State. Now, let's have a look at the composition of the Council of State. The framers of the Constitution, did not just put up a Council of State. The membership of the Council of State is designed in such a way that it is representative of the rank and file of the whole country, every fiber of the country. We have regional representation, which is also intended to represent all interests across the country. We have professional representation. We have people with experience in leadership and government. We have former judges. We have senior lawyers. We have former chief justices. We have army commanders. We have police commanders. We have persons whose experience cut across various dimensions of this country. Most of whom are lawyers of great repute. So if they have had full access to the petition and have had full access to the Chief Justice's response, have made a decision. Now let's look at the Ghana Bar Association. First of all, the Ghana Bar Association or the persons who attended this Ghana Bar Association conference do not have access to the report, the petition. They do not have access to it. What they are relying on are those excerpts or some things that are purporting to be the full petition. They do not also have access to the response from the Chief Justice. And even if they did sit in the bar conference to analyze the petition, to analyze the responses, based upon which they found that the resolution should be. That was not done at the conference. So if you tell me to choose in terms of quality and seriousness, which of the two, that is the advice of the Council of State and the resolution of the GBA, I have no doubt in my mind, and it is no-brainer. I know which one to choose. So personally, I think that the GBA, first of all, students have even entertained any suggestion to this effect. You know why? Because the GBA should be or ought to be aware that the resolution they are passing or the subject matter on which they are passing resolution is also subject to the subject of a pending judicial, consideration. The matter is in court where there is a petition, where there is a relief asking the Supreme Court to quash the president's petition to suspend the Chief Justice. So we know that when a matter is sub judice, that is pending before a court, it is not in line with law for lawyers to continue to try to overreach the outcome of the matter which is pending, you know. So I'm wondering why the resolution was entertained in the first place. Secondly, if the DP is calling on the president to not suspend the Chief Justice, when they, the DP, have no access to what the president and the Council of State had access to, what are they trying to do? They are trying to, subvert the ways of the law and to provoke lawlessness, unconstitutionality. Let's be frank with ourselves. The country takes on views and interests. And so when a decision of this kind is made, especially when the matter is in court or when it's considered by a constitutional body, indeed we are entitled to speak about it, we are entitled to make our own views known. But the point I'm making is that being a view, we would consider it just as any other view that will come from any other organization, including those which came out from polls conducted and all that.
So as far as you're concerned, this is one of the many views that are before the president to consider, that the president can decide whether or not.
Exactly. And if we are supposed to weigh them, this is one of the lightest of the views that the president...
lightest?
Yeah, very light.
It's Ghana Bar Association. So your boss is the leader of the bar. This is from the Ghana Bar Association. It's not a light association when it comes to the issues surrounding law and the practice of law in Ghana.
As I've already indicated, there was no legal basis, there was no legal justification for this view. If they had access to the petition and the response and considered it and pointed to legal, which is the job of lawyers. I mean, I think Ghana Bar Association is there to provide guidance on matters of law. If it's about politics, then I think that there are so many organizations that are doing that better. And so when Ghana Bar Association is speaking, we all expect that it will be speaking on matters of law. But as I pointed out, there is no legal, element in what the Ghana Bar Association has said. So then we cannot accord it that place that we used to occupy as the light on the law and functions of the nation.
Because I also
realize... So when I say it is light, I mean, as far as it is, so long as it remains the political and non-legal view, we have to treat it as such.
But you will not deny that the president does have the power, because if you do Article 46, 146, I think 11, you see that the president can at any time revoke the suspension.
Yes, the president can at any time revoke the suspension, but the revocation is also subject to, Council of State consideration. You see, when you look at the design of the process is not designed to be whimsical or capricious as we are making it look. It is at all times subject to consideration by a bigger and more representative body. So the president may, but the question is, what are the bar conference of, and here I'm not even talking of, I'm not saying the bar association, what are the bar conference pointed out for the president to consider in revoking it? Nothing. They have always, they themselves said earlier, the bar said earlier that the process should be allowed to continue. That was a few days. And if you allow me to go into what we are doing happen at the conference, it wasn't a popular, it was, if I say it wasn't a popular, maybe let me use a different word. It wasn't a resolution which was really reached, because there were people who also thought that this is not a proper time to make such a call. And to understand significant leaders of the bar abstain from the decision. We are yet to confirm that, but that is the briefing we got.
I just want some clarity on this because I had the slight was the argument with even Kwame Kwesi Pratt on Alaji and Alaji this past Saturday on it. The position of the law. He was of the opinion, and of course, many lawyers hold that opinion, that the contribution of the Council of State ends at helping make a determination of a prima facie case, whether it's been made or not. That the issue of whether or not to suspend, the Council of State has no say in it. It's up to the president. Is that accurate?
That is not very accurate because the Constitution says that, and these are the words, in accordance with the advice of the Council of State. So if you read the clause, it says that the president may, in accordance with the advice of the Council of State. So the only difference is that the prima facie case is the consultation, and the suspension is on the advice. These are the two. That's the words used: consultation and advice.
So the Council of State has to advise for suspension.
That's the provision of the Constitution. So it is not particularly accurate to say that the president has unfettered. He must show evidence of the Council of State advice. And as the press release from the President communication indicated, the president took this decision on the advice of the Council of State. So it is not correct to say that the president would, by himself, without anyone's input, decide to suspend the embattled the chief justice, or the person who is the chief justice.
Very interesting. So, but let me conclude by asking you this. There are many people who are of the opinion that the suspension in itself, yes, making a prima facie determination against no big deal, is part of the law, but the suspension itself deepens this public perception that she may ultimately be found guilty. That it is the suspension that they are not happy about. That if you take away the suspension, nobody will have a problem.
You see, let me tell you something. It is our cultural attitude towards position that is making this issue look more serious than it is. The Chief Justice is still the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana until the time that there is a definite decision by the committee finding her guilty of the offenses or the allegations. She is still the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. And suspension is not, no one has a personal right to perform public duties. You understand? So, but you may have a personal right to occupy the position, but the functions of performing the function is not your personal right, which you could feel aggrieved by when the law allows you to be suspended. The suspension has a functional purpose. It's not a way of punishment. No. The suspension does two things. It allows you, the person who has been accused of the wrongdoing, to find sufficient time to prepare your own defense, to make sure that you present your case forcefully without any hindrance before the committee. So that is the first function of the suspension. The second, and if you look at this case, there are 3 petitions with so many counts in each of them against the Chief Justice. Even if it's one petition, you need a lot of time. Now we have 1, 2, 3 of the petitions. So for me, where I sit, I believe the Council of State considered the allegations and how they will engage the attention of the Chief Justice in deciding that they will advise the president to put her on suspension. Secondly, the suspension is to prevent interference with the investigation. Depending on the nature of the investigation, the Chief Justice continuing occupation of the office will be a hindrance. Don't forget, the Chief Justice is the administrative head of the judiciary. So if the Council of State, upon reviewing the petition, finds out that the allegations border on the administrative function, and also on the fact that most of the things that will be required to prove, and the persons who will be sitting on this committee will still be subject to the Chief Justice's administrative, directive. They could, they could require that the Chief Justice step aside. So, for example, what if the process is going on while the Chief Justice is fully performing the function of the office and decides that he would give a special assignment to one of the judges on the panel to perform outside the jurisdiction or outside Accra? That not affect the committee's work? What if the persons who be called upon to testify are transferred or even dismissed or even, threatened with other, sanctions when the chief does? So let's not look at the suspension as if it's punishment in itself. It has its own functional purposes that it plays. And like I said, it is no indication that the Chief Justice is guilty or innocent or of the allegations. We should look at it from that perspective, rather than thinking that it is a punishment and that is already on the way out and as a first step of the exit. No, it is not true. The Chief Justice could still come back strongly if the committee finds out that the allegations are not well made up, or that though well made up, the allegations are not allegations upon which a Chief Justice should be removed from office. Life will continue for the Chief Justice as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. It is, I think, our cultural idea of what positions are and how people occupy positions as a way of reward, as a way of enjoyment, rather than service, which is causing us to think that the suspension is something that is, but like I said, it has strong function, rule in the greater scheme of things.
Great. And that's on that issue. Yes, I've just seen a video where you were being hailed by protesters who were handing over a petition on galamsey to you. Was that a petition that was handed to you?
No.
What did you receive?
I think earlier the petition was handed over to Honorable Secretary earlier that time. I went there on to just verify how the demonstration went. And indeed, when I go there, I noticed there was total tranquility. The demonstrators, I spoke with them, the leadership of the demonstration. They confirmed to me that they were given the most effective and efficient protection by the police ever. Some of the demonstrators have attended other demonstrations, so I think they compared their previous experiences, particularly under the previous government, and what they experienced yesterday, and they were very frantic about it. That they were very, very clear that it was the best they received, and I think because of the treatment that was given to them, they were actually pushing to continue for another day. And so that was a discussion we were having. So I indicated to them that it doesn't work that way. When you apply for demonstration as the law requires, you indicate the number of people you expect to attend, you indicate your routes, and then you indicate the time period that you want to do it. Once that is considered, it gives the police and the security forces the opportunity to make preparations for you. And that is why the law says that the petition should be sent at least 5 days ahead of the planned date for the demonstration. It is to enable the security forces to assess the situation and provide. So it is not possible to just decide at the end of one which, by the way, ended earlier than was planned to end, that you want another one just because you have been treated, very, well. So I was suggesting to them that if they wish to conduct another or to go on another demonstration, they would have to follow the procedure by bringing a new petition, which will still be considered by the security and intelligence services before they come. So it is not something that you could just switch. So that was a conversation we were having. But as you probably are aware, it was a very peaceful demonstration. Even though it was at the rush hour of the day, the police did excellent job by making sure that both the demonstrators had their peaceful protest, while the public also enjoyed their peace and free flow of traffic, and that it went very well. And I believe that going forward, demonstration will not be a very, exercise where people would have to, when people are leaving home, have to make up their mind that they may not return. It's not a war, a war event. It is supposed to be peaceful, and the police have made yesterday night. The police made it clear that it is possible in this republic to have demonstrations. First of all, right in front of the Flagstaff House, and that having a demonstration in front of the Flagstaff House is not a threat to security of the president. It's not a threat to national security. They were also. It was also clear that people could go to demonstration and go back home peacefully, and that is how it's supposed to be. And the police are also aware that allowing people to demonstrate to the Flagstaff is a case by case, determination, depending on the intelligence that they have gathered, depending on what they know about the demonstration. It will be free for people to demonstrate them.
Interesting. Is it a new policy that you're working in with? Because typically,
my brother, you see, President Mahama is not the kind of person who would take on anyone's right or freedom. We have known President Mahama. He is not new to our politics. Right from his time as a member of parliament through deputy minister to minister, we have always known him as a very peaceful man, a man who is law-abiding, who does not put his personal, feelings and desires ahead of the desires of the people he represents or he governs. With that posturing, it radiates through his government and through the public and the civil service. You see, when we say leadership has effect, this is what we mean. The posturing of the leader naturally radiates through, first of all, his appointees, throughout the government, through the civil service, and to the general, public. That is what we are beginning to see. He is a man he tolerates everything in the spirit of rule of law and democracy. That is who he is, naturally. So it would be wrong for anyone, and I know the police service are aware that the Attorney General and the President will not sit down for citizens to be treated like people who don't matter. They understand the mandate that the people of this country, give the NDC, and they are not going to subvert the will of the people by doing things that will make the people feel that they have been shortchanged. So that is what we are beginning to see.
That's interesting. But like I was going to point out, typically administrations see demonstration as most of the times a threat, because they usually, the perception is that it will make you seem unpopular, it will make you seem as if you are losing a grip on the country, you are failing the people, and so they try to, as much as possible, stifle any attempt at protest.
You see, demonstrations or people's views on your government is not what makes you unpopular. It is the things you do as a government which makes you unpopular. So it's misinterpretation to assume that when people are on demonstration on an issue, then the government automatically becomes unpopular. The government will be unpopular if it's indeed doing something which the people are demonstrating about. Look, this government is just a few days, more than 100 days in office. it has taken more steps to fight the galamsey menace than the government, the 8 years of the previous government put together. Just last week, there were raids, military. First of all, you see, when the new IGP came, the first thing he did was to transfer all police commanders in Galamsey area. And that makes sense because if they have been there for all these years or months and the situation is not working, it simply means that they have run out of ideas or they are incapable of dealing with the situation. So the first thing he did was to transfer all of them and bring new people in. Since that was done, raids upon raids, arrest upon arrest, demobilization upon demobilization of equipment and persons have been going on. And you will see that the color of the water bodies are also getting better. So many, and legislation is ongoing. There are regulatory, Mineral Commission, Environmental Protection Agency, and all the agencies that are responsible for district assembly, local government authorities. The chiefs have even been inspired to adopt a certain policy towards the galamsey. So if these things are going on, why would the government feel that people's demonstration that galamsey must stop, which is in line with what the government is doing? Why would the government think that it is necessary or it will make it unpopular? It will not make the government unpopular. So it is only when you, the government yourself, are not doing what you're supposed to do, and the people are pointing it out to you, and you know that it's guilty, then you'll be worried that if I allow this demonstration, they will prove that I am not doing what I'm supposed to do. But in this case, I did not see how the demonstration was going to change Ghanaians' view of what the president is doing, and it's being reported and it's being witnessed in the country. No brainer.
Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Doc, I wish you all the best.
Esteemed listeners.
Dr. Justice Sai is Deputy Attorney General, Minister of Justice, speaking to us this morning on two issues. I brought up the issue of the Galamsey protest that you can see on the screen. Alaska is showing you exactly what happened yesterday. Very peaceful protest. The Attorney